Hi there, I'm Chris. This is Late Listening. I wanted to talk about some of the songs and albums from 1995 because there's a lot of great records that are all turning 30 this year. And in 1995, I was 12 years old, and that's the first time I can remember music becoming like important to me as something that I actively thought about and I actually sought out. So I wanted to take a look back at some of the things from that era. And looking back, the number one song that I could remember, really that just completely infiltrated my consciousness, was Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise. And so today on Late Listening, I want to talk about the album Gangsta's Paradise, because I think everybody remembers that song. It was on the Dangerous Minds soundtrack. Michelle Pfeiffer was in the music video.
You want to tell me what this is all about?
But I don't think a lot of people remember the album that came a little bit later. And the single was both on the Dangerous Minds soundtrack and it was also on this record, Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise. This is his second album. So I want to talk about this album a little bit today. Coolio wasn't what you would classify as a gangster rapper. He did talk about his own realities, like rising above poverty and violence, but he usually put a positive spin on his lyrics. And he often just wanted to party or chill or both. Like in his first music video from the album It Takes a Thief, the song Fantastic Voyage, which was a minor hit and later became like a party anthem. Be Real of Cypress Hill actually has a cameo in the music video. That's a great video, by the way. Like, I love it when like all the people like climb out of the trunk of the car at the beach. And also on Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, on the track Doggy Dog World, he raps, "It's like everywhere I look and everywhere I go, I'm hearing motherfuckers trying to steal my flow. But it ain't no thing, cause see, my homie Coolio put me up on the game when I stepped through the door." And that was 1993, before, Gangsta's Paradise even came out. And Biggie, the Notorious B.I.G., on Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, the track Brooklyn's Finest. Gotta go, Coolio. I mean, it's getting too hot. Because, of course, Too Hot would be one of the singles from Gangsta's Paradise. Also, speaking of Biggie and Snoop and Dre and all of them, they were all beat out at the 1996 Grammy Awards by Gangsta's Paradise. So Coolio was absolutely huge at the time. Sadly, he kind of turned into being seen as a one-hit wonder, but he did have other hits other than Gangsta's Paradise. Just none were that level, and he never had an album that ever reached the heights. No one remembers Coolio.com or some of his later records. And also, Coolio did the theme song to Nickelodeon's Kenan and Kel later on. So, I mean, it's not like he didn't have anything to do. He acted in movies. He was in Batman.
Hey, banker, how much coin to play?
2.5. Hey, you're the chick who won the tunnel run 2 nights ago, huh?
Yeah, that'd be me.
All right, let's get to the record. Gangsta's Paradise. Track 1. That's How It Is. This is a skit. Coolio, he always had like a positive spin. And so even in this track, it's like, "What's up? What are you doing?" And the guy's like, "Well, I'm trying to go to school. I'm trying to get out of the ghetto. I gotta like make a life for myself. I gotta get out of here." And Coolio's like, "I'm stuck in the ghetto. I can't get out." And that segues into Geto Highlights, which is kind of a cool song. All of these little stories and little pictures of life in the ghetto with a really catchy hook where it's like, Ride. Always gets kind of stuck in my head. And then, of course, Gangsta's Paradise.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
The third track, taken from a Stevie Wonder song, Pastime Paradise. And the singer LV singing the hook on this. LV, an incredible singer. If you want to see an amazing performance of this song, you should watch... there's on YouTube, you can find the 1995 appearance of Coolio and LV on Howard Stern's radio show. And on the fly, they perform Gangsta's Paradise. And LV's vocal is amazing. I mean, Coolio's rapping is solid as always, but like LV just, I mean, seeing them do it like live on the radio is really, really cool. It's something to behold. Whatever happened to LV? I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, I love the way that Coolio raps. I love how he always has this kind of like almost like a musicality to his raps. He really emphasizes some parts and then he like pulls back, and it's almost like he's singing at times. Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. He has a really interesting flow. Coolio talks about how he went to visit his manager at the time, which was Paul Stewart, and he happened to stop by his studio and he heard the producer, Doug Rashid. He was working on the basis of this song. And Coolio was like, that's mine. Like, he just claimed it. And he sat down and he claims that he wrote the first verse just as if he had already known what he was going to say. You know, whatever he wrote down was just exactly, what the lyrics were supposed to be. He didn't even, like, revise it. He just wrote it down right on the spot. Track number 4, Too Hot. Too Hot's an interesting song. So that was what I was talking about. Notorious B.I.G. referenced Too Hot. Very, very smooth, kind of R&B, more R&B than G-Funk, really. Too Hot. It's got that really like weird percussion, and it's a positive song about why you should have safe sex, and you should be careful, always wear a rubber and so on. It's like, Coolio has such an interesting perspective. Like, he comes across as like this, gangsta from the ghetto, like this hard life kind of dude. But then it's like he always has this like uplifting message. And he's either painting portraits of the ghetto and it's all of its harsh realities, or he's like giving the message to, the younger generation and trying to help everybody. Track number 5, Cruisin. This features Malika, the rapper Malika. Another one of those like, what happened to her? I don't know. This is like a perfect summer driving song, referencing like Sunday afternoons in the tape deck, and he just wants to chill. He just wants to ride with his girl, I like how Malika and Coolio like trade verses back and forth. Track number 6, Exercise Yo Game. Kind of typical gangsta rap of its time. The sound, the synths, featuring 40 Thieves and E40 doing the first verse there. And the hook of the song is really weird, but it like gets stuck in my head. There's a lot of really weird hooks on this album. It's either incredibly smooth, incredibly catchy, or so weird that it just doesn't leave you. Either way, it doesn't leave your mind. Things is changing and rearranging. Just use your brain, man. Don't run the same game. Fertilize your grass, playa. Get that cash. Sumpin New. This is actually labeled, like on the back of this, it just says Sumpin New. But then, like, online, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 parentheses, something new. I'm not really sure, like, what the discrepancy is there. But this was actually a pretty big song for Coolio. Gangsta's Paradise, the song, overshadowed everything on this record. But I feel like this song was the logical next step after Fantastic Voyage. It shares a lot with Fantastic Voyage. It has even a kind of a similar drum beat. Yeah, It Takes a Thief was not really a party album, but Fantastic Voyage was a big party song, party anthem. And, in Fantastic Voyage, he kind of paints this utopia where there's no gangbangers and everybody can live in peace and he can get his steak and red beans and rice. And, it's a beautiful, like, wishful song.
Who this?
Yo, it's Spoon. Let's go up to the beach, man, and catch some females and have a barbecue.
How we gonna get there? We ain't got no car. Fool.
So I feel like, yeah, without Gangsta's Paradise, maybe Coolio would have just been seen as like a laid-back party rapper. Track number 8, Smilin. One of the weirdest choruses on this record, kind of like out of tune and almost like psychedelic.
You got me smiling again.
I don't know who played the keyboard on this track, on the hook, but it's like, I feel like that's how like I play the piano, you know what I mean? So this is a beautiful track because he dedicates this to his kids. And, Coolio had 3 kids. Even before he was famous, he was really struggling to break into the hip-hop world. He wrote rhymes like his life depended on it. And, his kids were depending on him. And so this is really kind of a beautiful song about, like, being a proud dad. And, especially back in the 90s, there were so many young black men who didn't know their fathers or who were fathers themselves. And they, were estranged from their children. Fathers were murdered. in the ghetto, and to have a song like this where like, you know, this dad is celebrating the love of his kids, and the lyrics are just so like positive and so like loving. One night of pleasure, 9 months of pain. 3 days later, and that's when you came. 2 arms, 2 legs, 10 fingers, 10 toes. Brown eyes like mom with your grandmother's nose. Even though you're mama's baby and daddy's little baby, my love is unconditional. To one of us, it's Swayze. Day or night, roll the light. No matter what you do, like the Jackson 5 said, I'll be there for you. 'Cause my life is your life and your life is mine. I'm thinking I'm your friend till the end of time. I'll make sure you get your props, you can call me Pops. And anything you need, I'll pull it out of the stops. Even though we're not together like we used to be, D-A-D-D-Y, you can count on me. 'Cause when I'm feeling down every now and then, I take a look into your eyes and then smile again. How beautiful is that, you know? Like, I can't think of another rapper who has, like, a song, especially at that time, you know, in the West Coast, like, gangsta rap world, where they just celebrate their kids and celebrate, like, the feeling of love to be a father. It's really, really cool that Coolio did that. And the skits on this album are really weird. Like, the first track, you know, the skit's great because it's like the dude's trying to get out of the ghetto and Coolio's kind of stuck in the ghetto, and it's a nice little portrait of what the album's going to be. But track number 9, Fucc Coolio, is like, you know, he's at the club and he calls up his homies and he's like, hey, you got to come down here. And then he's like, the guy's like, how many with you, Coolio? And he's like, well, it's just me, but like my homies are coming. The 40 Thieves are coming. And then these other guys are like, man, fuck Coolio. Like, he's wearing sneakers. Like, why do they let him in there? And that's it. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, because this album was kind of rushed. Like, they rushed to get it out, to, you know, cash in on the Gangsta's Paradise popularity or what. The skits, other than the first track, the other skits are just kind of bizarre and like, why? And then track number 10, Kinda High, Kinda Drunk. This song still to this day makes me laugh. Like, it made me laugh when I was 12 and it makes me laugh now. The chorus of this song is so weird and so funny. And it took me like many, many years before I even knew what he was saying. I didn't realize he was actually saying, drink beer? Is it drink beer? I still don't even know. All I ever thought he said was, bad Jacob, bad Jacob, meatball. And then sometimes I heard it was like 8-ball. Like, I could hear the 8-ball sometimes, but like, I just, in my mind, it was like, bad Jacob, bad Jacob, meatball. Sorry. Anyway, but it's an insane hook. It's just an insane, like, catchy, bizarre hook. One of the weirdest hooks in old school hip hop. But I like the story of this song because Coolio just keeps getting steadily more fucked up. And he's at the club, he's taking more shots and he's like getting higher. And then he sees a beautiful woman and he's trying to hit on her. And then, long story short, he ends up puking all over her tits. And shit goes horribly wrong. And then basically the song ends with him curled up in the back of his own car while his homies go on a joyride. And he's just like, I got too fucked up. And so again, it's like, you know, it's this portrait of like him making these mistakes and getting too fucked up. But like at the same time, it's kind of a positive message about like, you should watch yourselves. Don't get too high. Don't get too drunk. Track number 11, For My Sistas. Again, a very beautiful song. You know, he raps about like respect to women. He doesn't call them hoes. But he says, like, verse number 1, now I done used the word bitch a few times in a rhyme, but now it's 95, so let me drop a line. This goes out to the young black queens on the neighborhood scene who haven't lost their dream. Crazy respect to black women. And it's great. I mean, now everybody says queen, you know, but it's like back then, I mean, I guess you had like Queen Latifah or something, but I mean, Coolio's like celebrating black women. She's the kind of woman you take home to mama. The only kind you ever let get past the drama. Coolio know that you ain't no hoe, and it's time to put you on a pedestal seat. Queen of the entire universe. I mean, Jesus. Like, that's beautiful stuff. But of course, then he undercuts that because in the very next song, Is This Me, he raps about a house full of hoes. And that's actually also a really cool song. Is This Me, track number 12. Seems to be like lyrically a companion to Gangsta's Paradise. And again, LV sings the hook. Amazing vocal on this one. Rated R, also Rated R guest stars. Also, I really love the rapping on this song. Like, Coolio killed it, but Rated R also kills it. Like, they're really, really solid flows. I absolutely love the lyrics of the chorus, the hook, sung by LV. Yeah, it's just really, really powerful and very much a companion to Gangsta's Paradise. It doesn't really sound like Gangsta's Paradise, but it just has that, that ghetto life. Track 13, A Thing Goin On. This song is kind of interesting because it's about an affair. And, at first you hear that the intro has that G-Funk, synthesizer comes in, but then it actually fades away. The whole track becomes kind of laid back. And at first you think it's like all about, he's just with his woman and, he's hanging out with her, he's treating her right. But then if you listen closely, it's like it's about an affair. I like the fact that at the end of this song, they kind of respectfully call it quits. But deep down inside, we know that we could never be any more than what we are. A phone call in the car, bite to eat with a movie and a drink at the bar. When all of a sudden, right out of the blue, my lady got a clue on what we was up to. And wait a minute, damn, from what I understand, it seems that my woman's been talking to her man. Since we both in love with the people at home, it looks like we just gonna have to leave it alone. 'Cause I got a woman and she's got a man, so that's how it goes and that's how it is. Me and Mrs. Jones. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Again, you have an affair, you want to brag about the fact that you're having an affair or whatever, but then it's they politely call it quits at the end, Coolio, forever the gentleman. Track 14, Bright as the Sun. Interesting flow and cool verses in this one. I thought when I first saw the title of the song, it was going to be this really positive, you're bright as the sun kind of thing, but it's actually Bright as the Sun is the spotlight from the police helicopter is bright as the sun. So it has that darkness to it. I love that first verse where he's like, it's the ghetto witch doctor with another loco potion. Hickory dickory, thievery, trickery, poverty, misery, pleads to insanity, homicide, robbery, grand theft, burglary, perjury, emergency surgery, APB. They looking for a G. You ran through a field, hopped a fence, and climbed a tree. 911, here they come. Homie with a gun, now your ass is done. Ain't nowhere to hide, ain't nowhere to run, 'cause the helicopter lights is as bright as the sun. Track 15, the last skit on the record, Recoup This. It's again, one of those weird skits where it's the girl answers the phone, Last Chance Records, and she just starts talking about something, and then this guy comes in, and he's like, I want to see, what's his name, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson is the record producer, or the president of the record company. And so he goes in and he demands money, and Mr. Johnson's like, oh, you gotta, hang on a second. And so then he just shoots him dead. And that's the entire skit, Mr. Johnson gets blasted away. I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's not really funny. It's not really anything. And it kind of it has these weird, long silences, which I don't really understand why they didn't, speed it up a little bit. And then track 16, The Revolution. This is also a lyrical portrait of ghetto life. The lyrics are great. I don't really love the hook of this song. It kind of falls flat for me. But lyrically, of course, it's up there with Gangsta's Paradise and, Is This Me? Bright as the Sun, all these kind of ghetto portraits. Really love the lyrics. I sing the song of the plight of the black man in America in a state of hysteria. No longer will I accept the second rate. I plan to set the record straight before I dissipate. It's the 1-2 combination punch to the throat. There's a hole in your boat, bitch. That's all she wrote. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. In my motherfucking self I trust. That's some great lyricism right there. Not only the way that he, his flow. Don't listen to me. I'm just reciting the words, but just listen to Coolio. He's fucking amazing. I absolutely love that. In America, in a state of hysteria. That's all she wrote. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. In my motherfucking self I trust. Just fucking badass. The final track, Get Up, Get Down, featuring Malika again. She kicks it off, and then he lets all of the guest stars have a verse in this song. Coolio kind of leads the shout-along chorus, which is, it's okay. I don't really like the song that much, especially as an album closer. And the weirdest verse of all is verse 2 by Shorty, the rapper Shorty. I'm deep like Denzel with my crimson tide. Like Shaka Khan, I'll tell you something good. I'm high C like Spike Lee with Tales from the Hood. You need it, I'll feed it. Baby, check the size. Have you going down like Mary J. Blige. When it's poppin' like this, you can't be a coward. Shorty freaks fucking beats like Adina Howard. And it's just like too many pop culture references in a short amount of time, Shorty. Like, come on. I like the Denzel Crimson Tide. That was cool. Let's see. Coolio comes in on the 6th verse, I think. I guess he takes kind of a back seat to let all the guest stars have their little moment. And, it's an okay song. This record is really good. I mean, that's what I really want to say about this is, a lot of people don't know that this was even an album, I think now. Like, they know Gangsta's Paradise, the song. They know it was maybe on the Dangerous Minds soundtrack. But I think a lot of people forget about this record. And I'd like to highly recommend both Gangsta's Paradise and also Coolio's first record, It Takes a Thief, which is another pretty good record. It's maybe not quite as good. I don't go back to it. I skip some of the songs on here. But Gangsta's Paradise, I pretty much listened to the whole record all the way through. It's really, really solid. And, Coolio passed away a couple years ago, and that was really sad because he wasn't that old and kind of shocked everybody, I think. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. I'm going to do some more videos about music from 1995. If you're interested in that kind of thing, come back later and I'll have more for you. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.